Hello and welcome. I'm Dana Magliola, Supply Chain Management Project Manager at the North Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Thanks for joining us to learn more about supply chain management for small and medium-sized manufacturers. First, let's get an overview of the topics we'll cover and discuss today. From a simple introduction of the supply chain, we'll then discuss how and why the supply chain is important to manufacturers. Proactive supply chain management can provide manufacturers with great benefits, so we'll spend some time discussing the key elements of supply chain management. An important trend and a core pursuit of this exercise is to learn more about digitization in the supply chain. In the new digital context, we'll also review what that means for procurement, production, and distribution. In this digital space, just as on the physical factory floor, security is an important consideration, so we'll spend some time on cybersecurity. Lastly, I'll introduce you to some important resources for manufacturers. Let's begin with the foundation. What is the supply chain? The most basic definition of the supply chain is also one of the best. The flow of three key elements, information, goods, and funds, up and down the supply chain are vital to the creation of value in an end product or service. These connections between suppliers, producers, and all of the supporting elements of the supply chain are important, but it's also important that you not get bogged down in a cloud of jargon and buzzwords. For manufacturers, a supply chain can be simple, with just a few connections and steps in the creation of value. For others, the supply chain can be very complex and integrate nearly every facet of modern business into the process. No matter what the size of an organization or an operation, it's important to recognize that the supply chain is alive, changing, developing, constantly. So beyond the buzzword, why does the supply chain matter to small and medium-sized manufacturers? It's an important reminder that small and medium-sized manufacturers are vitally important to U.S. manufacturing. Accounting for nearly half of U.S. manufacturing jobs, small manufacturers are foundational for many larger products and prime manufacturers. Take, for example, a tractor manufactured in the United States. With parts from all over the country, it's a national effort and one that touches many small and medium-sized operations. Remember, being small is not necessarily a disadvantage because small and medium-sized enterprises can provide their customer, either a business-to-business or a business direct-to-customer, with great benefits from communication and quick response through the introduction of innovation. Just as we discussed in the core definition of the supply chain, it's really all about creating value for the customer. Small and medium-sized manufacturers are uniquely positioned to know their customer well and to create value for that customer. Understanding the supply chain is the first step. Managing it is a whole other ballgame. What is supply chain management then? Let's take a definition offered by the Supply Chain Resource Cooperative at NC State University. Supply chain management is the active management of supply chain activities to maximize customer value and achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. Wow, that's fancy. But I want to focus on a few important points. First of all, active is the mandate. Proactive, strategic, and measured management of a supply chain activity is the path by which a company can set themselves apart. And achieving that sustainable business advantage, that's the ultimate goal of business. There are many benefits possible through prudent supply chain management. Some of these may be easy to realize, such as cost or waste reduction, or they may lead to larger outcomes, such as ensuring a safe and healthy workplace and contributing to reducing environmental impact and bolstering sustainability. There are many models for supply chain management, and I'll introduce you to a few. The popular SCORE model, or Supply Chain Operations Reference Model, focuses on 4 core steps from planning through sourcing, into production, and on to delivery. Return logistics are also an important part of this framework. The Global Supply Chain Forum offers a more complex and detailed version, which recognizes activities across the supply chain, as well as highlights the different characteristics of suppliers and customers more explicitly. The Value Reference Model provides another example of supply chain management, and one that articulates the context and importance of alignment within the larger ecology of both the firm and the marketplace. Like fingerprints and snowflakes, no two supply chains are the same, so it makes sense that no two operations will look alike. Finding the right management model for your organization's circumstances is a challenge and the goal. An important trend and a core pursuit of this exercise is to learn more about digitization in the supply chain. In the new digital context, we'll also review what that means for procurement, production, and distribution. There are lots of ways of talking about the digital supply chain. Some people call it smart factories or even refer to it as the fourth industrial revolution. Pioneered in Europe in the late 2000s, the Industry 4.0 concept focuses on the use of and integration of digital technology and processes into the manufacturing environment. With gains in productivity, efficiency, safety, sustainability, and more, the 4.0 manufacturing environment offers great benefits for small and medium-sized enterprises. Looking more closely at the implications of Industry 4.0 on the supply chain, it's easy to see where technology can allow us to have greater visibility all throughout the process, from procurement through production and on to distribution. But it also enables us to utilize technologies such as robotics and automation. Connectivity between suppliers and customers is also important. The availability and understanding of data across the supply chain provides a great strategic planning resource. There are many benefits of the digital supply chain. In the end, however, the potential contributions to sustainability and profitability are perhaps the most important. Let's take a look at some of the disruptive technologies in today's supply chain management environment. Not new to manufacturing, automation and robotics have seen significant growth and new applications. The factory floor today is alive with sensors, monitoring capabilities, even the Internet of Things, allowing everything from production machinery to photocopiers to communicate and share information. Of course, everyone loves drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, and their application in manufacturing is still being realized, especially in the distribution space. Additive manufacturing, or 3D printing as it's sometimes called, is finding its way into some of the largest operations, such as GE Aircraft or Boeing. But there may be applications in the small and medium-sized manufacturing arena that make sense. Then getting into data storage, analysis, and application technologies like cloud computing, blockchain or distributed ledgers, and artificial intelligence. These are a part of what's coming, if not already here. The end goal of moving into digital supply chain management is to become a digital champion, where the practices and capabilities enabled by technology are a part of every element of your business. That said, it's a long process, so it's good to recognize some of the stages of maturity in this process. From digital novice to vertical integrator to horizontal collaborator, each step expands the importance and digitization of your enterprise. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and achieving digitization is no different. Planning and taking small steps is important to your success. Here's a 6-step process outlined by PricewaterhouseCoopers in their Industry 4.0 document, Building the Digital Enterprise, that may give you some idea of those steps. Now that we've introduced the concept of supply chain and touched on the ways in which technology is changing it today, let's look at the elements of supply chain management in more detail. Procurement, production, and distribution are headings we'll use, but it's important to understand what other activities are included in each. You'll also see where there are shared steps in activities, and that most importantly, data, information, and communications should be shared across each actively. What is procurement? Quite simply, it's acquiring products or services to support value creation. Procurement is a broad heading, so some of the more detailed areas of procurement are relevant for our discussion. These include supplier or material sourcing, forecasting, vendor qualification, negotiation and contracting, purchasing, cost control and analysis, and importantly, quality. Just as on the manufacturing shop floor, effective procurement relies on good processes. One of the key goals in procurement is to achieve balance between cost, quality, and delivery. This CQD balance is a path to sustainability. Collaboration and communication between suppliers and customers all throughout the supply chain is also vital to achieving successful procurement outcomes. Management guru Peter Drucker once said that if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Key performance indicators, or metrics, can provide great perspective for a firm on how they're achieving this CQD balance. Here are several, but not all, key performance indicators you may consider implementing, tracking, and analyzing in your operation. Digitization in procurement offers further benefits for small and medium-sized manufacturers. From tying the whole supply chain together to the visibility of cost and spend, a digital procurement organization is nimble, responsive, resilient, and better prepared to create value for your company and your customers. With data collected in a digital procurement environment, there are some key software and technology solutions which can further benefit small and medium-sized manufacturers. These can be simple platforms, such as a shared spreadsheet, or they can be more complex and holistic, such as an ERP or MRP system. Achieving digitization in procurement is a commitment. Here are 7 things to remember during this process, not least of which is the reminder that long-term success begins with good planning and small steps. To help you bring this home, we've compiled a top 10 list of questions to ask yourself about your procurement activities and processes today. Of course, these are not the only questions to ask, but they'll get you going. After procurement, production is the next step in the industrial process. With manufacturing at the core, production truly is creating value through the conversion and transformation of materials. Production activities may include things which you'd immediately consider, such as manufacturing, assembly, kit construction, but it's also important to recognize the role that design, planning, and process management and improvement have, as well as these other facets of production. In manufacturing, we look to answer 3 business questions. What should we produce? When should we produce it? And how much should we produce? Production planning and production control are your key levers in answering these questions. The state motto of our neighboring Carolina to the south is prepared in mind and resources. It's also a great way to capture the mission of production planning. From process to inputs, strong production planning is vital to the success of any manufacturing operation. Once we're ready to begin production, control of that process, or truly the orchestrated myriad of processes, becomes the domain of production control. 2 key outcomes of a strong production control system can be efficiency and quality. You may know production control by several other names, all of which have rapidly become buzzwords from their initial introduction. From Kaizen to Kanban, these concepts are interesting, but be warned. It's best to stay calm and try and identify areas where they're relevant to you as a small or medium-sized manufacturer. For example, implementing a Kanban system on the shop floor may be far more applicable to your organization than investing in Six Sigma training or control tower technology solutions. Just as it's important to measure performance in procurement, the production environment offers even more metrics or key performance indicators to consider. Here are a few, but not all KPIs you may want to consider across the 3 elements of measure: utilization, performance, and quality. Digitization can also help a manufacturing operation to improve overall quality, efficiency, and sustainability, as well as reinforce the profitable creation of value during the production stage. Here are some additional potential benefits. The production phase may be one of the areas where innovation and technology disruptors may provide the most impact or offer the most potential to change how we manufacture things today. Already important to the design and testing process, rapid prototyping, 3D printing, and CAD design are making the process more efficient. Other advances in materials, process, and data collection or analysis will undoubtedly contribute to the future of manufacturing. These may seem like big concepts, but it's good to ask yourself, are there parts of our operation where these could help us improve? In addition to technology, software solutions can provide great benefit to the production phase. From general monitoring and tracking to providing alerts and warnings, small and medium-sized manufacturers should consider where software may make a meaningful impact on your operation. Just as with procurement, achieving digitization in production is a commitment and a process. Here are 7 key things to remember during that journey. We've compiled a top 10 list of questions to ask yourself about your production activities and processes today. Of course, these are not the only questions to ask, but they'll help you get started. Across the supply chain, every step and every activity aims to provide an end customer with value. Distribution is delivering that value to the customer, while potentially creating even more value along the way. The spectrum of distribution activities include storage and warehousing, packaging, transportation management, material handling and logistics, customs or trade management, finished inventory management, customer relations, and even return logistics. The key elements to consider in talking about distribution are optimization, reliability, and timeliness. Is your company today delivering valuable quality goods and services to customers on time in the most efficient and reliable way? In distribution, just as in procurement and production, we can discuss ways to track performance. Some key performance indicators and metrics to consider in the distribution space break down into three key elements: optimization, reliability, and timeliness. These are not the only ways to quantify or discuss performance in your distribution operation, so make sure the ones you decide to implement are meaningful to your firm and scope. Digitization can make tracking performance even easier, as well as provide great benefits in the areas of visibility and accuracy in addition to others. Planning and taking small steps in digitization of distribution will lead to positive outcomes in the long run. Here's our top 10 list for distribution and the top 10 list of questions you may want to consider about your distribution operation and activities. These are not exhaustive, but it's a good start. With the rise of digital connectivity, cybersecurity becomes more important and more relevant for manufacturing each day. And the risk is real. Is your company prepared? It's no surprise that cybersecurity is one of the more important considerations in manufacturing today. The average cost of a data breach is significant for small and medium-sized enterprises. An important resource for manufacturers created by the National Institute of Standards and Technology is the Cybersecurity Framework Manufacturing Profile. This identifies 5 key activities for cybersecurity in a manufacturing environment. They are identify, protect, detect, respond, and then recover. Let's discuss a few key principles of cybersecurity in manufacturing. First, develop your defenses based on the principle that your systems will be breached. Next, recognize that cybersecurity is never just a technology problem. It involves people, processes, and knowledge sharing within an organization. And lastly, security is security. Recognize there is no gap and should be no gap between physical security, such as access to computers, access to the office or server, and the elements of cybersecurity that we've discussed. Additional resources to learn more about cybersecurity are provided by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and the U.S. Department of Commerce, who've developed a cyber framework available at the link on your screen. We've compiled a top 10 list of questions you should ask yourself about cybersecurity. Of course, these are just a start, and it's not exhaustive, so it's important to discuss cybersecurity throughout your operation and across your organization. There are great resources available for manufacturers as they pursue a digital future. One key resource I'd like to introduce you to today is the MEP Digital Supply Chain Network Maturity Survey. Just as information is the currency of the digital supply chain, so too is your knowledge of your manufacturing operation, what it is today and what it can become. By completing a brief 10-minute survey to understand where you are today, you'll also learn about additional resources available through the MEP Digital Supply Chain Network project. Taking this one step further, the MEP Digital Supply Chain Network Maturity Readiness Assessment provides a more in-depth and self-guided assessment that provides you with a thorough understanding of your current digital capabilities, and it also helps inform your trusted advisor at the MEP in your state with the information they need to help you develop your digital supply chain capabilities. No matter where you are in the United States, for the past 30 years, the MEP National Network has equipped small and medium-sized manufacturers with the resources, information, and support they need to grow and thrive. Learn more about the national network of experts and resources available to small and medium-sized enterprises through NIST today by visiting their website, listed here on the slide. Additional resources are available through the National Institute of Standards and Technology, who provide their cybersecurity framework, as well as ample and interesting information on their website at nist.gov/topics/supply chain. Another key resource for manufacturers can be found through NIST's Manufacturing USA Institutes. These organizations, located throughout the United States, are focused on specific technologies, such as advanced materials, or key industries, such as biotech or textiles, or even processes such as digital manufacturing and design. There are other organizations, such as professional development or industry professional groups that can provide additional resources. One important one to learn about is the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals, or CSCMP. Their certification and educational programs can help support your growth as a supply chain management professional, as well as offer networking and business development opportunities for your company. If you'd like to learn more about the lexicon of supply chain management, CSCMP also maintains a great glossary online of industry terms. Yet another organization that provides both education and certifications is APICS. Together with CSCMP, these and other supply chain organizations often have local chapters and informative meetings which you can attend. Thank you for spending some time with me today to learn about the digital supply chain for small and medium-sized manufacturers. If you have questions or would like to learn more, contact your local manufacturing extension partnership.